Hello and welcome to Notes on Film. My name is Jose Peralta. This is day 6 of 10 as a review of this year's Academy Award nominees for Best Score and Best Picture. Today's film is Train Dreams, directed by Clint Bentley. The composer for Train Dreams is Bryce Dessner. Dessner has a history of working with Bentley and Bentley's writing partner Greg Quaidar for their last 4 films, including Train Dreams. Among those are included 2023's Sing Sing, directed by Greg Quaidar, 2021's Jockey, directed by Clint Bentley, and 2016's Transpecos. Since 2021, Quaidar and Bentley have been trading off films one every 2 years, both of them getting accolades in their own right. This year is for Train Dreams, which is nominated for Best Song and Best Picture. In 2023, it was for Sing Sing that had a couple of nominations of its own, including Best Actor and Best Song. Dessner's work branches out beyond Quaidar and Bentley into also scoring films such as The Two Popes and having a part in The Revenant. Aside from scoring films, Dessner's also known for working extensively with Taylor Swift in her Folklore and Evermore albums. And this year he is nominated for his first ever Academy Award for Best Song with Nick Cave, entitled Train Dreams. Before diving into the score, let's dive into the movie for a little bit of context. Train Dream focuses on a man in the northwestern United States in the early 20th century whose life is dictated and molded by love, loss, and the changing world. Train Dreams tells the story of Robert, who is a logger and who is struggling to find his place in the world, never having known his parents, until he then finds somebody who gives him meaning, who gives him a place in the world. Then he loses that somebody, and then the dealing of that and how that shapes him the rest of his life, the end. Train Dreams is a film where the scenery does a lot of the storytelling instead of the dialogue. This is the kind of movie that you watch on a Sunday morning, on a day when you don't have absolutely anything to do, wherein you can give your full attention to the movie and let it take you on the ride that it wants to take you. Because it is slow, because it does linger on its shots, and because it does tell an emotionally distant story, per se distant, in that it doesn't vocalize it through spirited performances. This is the kind of movie that you want to just settle in for and give it the time that it wants. Joel Edgerton is a standout here and definitely one of his bests. With that said, let's get into the score composed by Bryce Dessner. Before I do, let me put on my Clark Kent glasses, just in case I'm too critical. I can say it was the other guy and not me. First question as always, how did the score play within the film itself? I would say that the score within the movie was a reflection of Robert, or the main character, in that it was only there and only spoke when necessary. The majority of the film doesn't have the score as prominent, and the emotional beats, when we can't hear him speak it, the score does it for us. Even then, it's not bombastic, it's not over the top, it's just enough so you can hear it, but not too loud to where it overtakes the visuals and the performance by Edgerton. I'm a big fan of how the score was a mirror of his emotions and his feelings, in that the fact that it was sparsely used is a good choice and plays really well in the film. Had it been the other way around, where it was all over the place, it wouldn't have worked as well, because that's not the kind of story, that's not the kind of character that we were following throughout the film. Apart from showing his emotions though, it also didn't fill in all of the quiet moments, meaning that it let a lot of the silence just ride. And so the score was sparsely used to great effect. Some movies are carried by their scores, some movies are accented by their scores, some movies are satirized by their score. This is none of the above. This one is there as a companion that shows up every once in a while to accentuate the emotional beats of the film and the main character. Now, as a standalone album, I thought this one was crispy and at times warm. Like I said, it did not overstay its welcome in the film, and neither does it stay as overwelcome as a standalone album itself. It doesn't have a lot of so-called bangers, because in the film, though there is loss, though there is love, because the character isn't so expressive, the music isn't either. And so as an entire album, you're not going to get those huge bangers that I would usually love or that I'm partial to, but it is good enough to where if you want to feel like you're in 1930s, 1940s, early 1900s, early 20th century America in, an Idaho or Montana, this one's for you. I wish there was more to say as a standalone album, but this one is a little bit more reserved than your typical movie, again, reflecting the story on screen. Before continuing to our last section, which is the songs that stood out to me or bangers, I like to take one little moment to talk about how the songs were named and if they were good or not good or just blah. In this case, they were just reflective of the scenes and not very creative at all. There were songs, for example, named Home 1 or Home 2, Reunion, The Get About 1, Part 1, Dreamy and Forgetful. It's not very creative, so if you're looking for something creative here in that sense, you're not going to find it. Okay, now lastly, let's talk about standouts. For me, there was only 2 standouts in this score, and it was the track entitled First Home 1, which was nice and lively and made me feel a thing or two. I'm not quite sure what emotion I would put to it. It made me feel like I was in the woods somehow. And lastly, the other one that made me feel something and which was my favorite in the album is called Kate Returned. This was my favorite part of the movie in itself. In the source material that it was based on, it's ambiguous whether or not Robert actually sees his girl and takes care of her and then she leaves in the morning. Just like in the film, it's ambiguous and you don't know whether he dreamed it up or if it happened for real. But I like to take the interpretation that it happened for real. And so Kate Returned has, I think, the most emotional beats of the film and the ones that stuck with me the longest. So if you're going to go through this album, go ahead and skip all the way to 24, Kate Returned. I should also mention that Train Dreams, the very last track, number 27, is the song that is nominated for Best Song at this year's Academy Award. So go ahead and check that one out as well. With the critic part done, let me go ahead and give my final thoughts on the score. So whereas an 8, 9, and 10 are reserved for the Hall of Fame, and a 5, 6, or 7 ranges from good to very good, I would give this one a 5. It's good. Now, I don't want you to think, and I tend to think that way sometimes, that a 5, that it's average, means that it's bad. It's not bad. It's just not one that you would return to feel a type of way or to put yourself in a world that's not otherwise muted and reserved. You will get a little bit of a woodsy vibe because the film does take place in the woods, but that's not in here enough to warrant a shift to number 6. So I will leave it at a 5 at good. But those are my thoughts on the score of Train Dreams, composed by Bryce Dessner. If you'd like to suggest a score, please go ahead and put it down in the comments below. While you're at it, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. You can also find me personally on Instagram at It's Attractive, where you can send suggestions or any other thoughts on the show that you might have. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all tomorrow for day 7 of 10 as we review this year's Academy Award nominees for Best Score and for Best Picture. I will see you all next time. Take care. Peace.